And I think that's one of the things too, even as an artist, one of the things that can really like change your perspective is, sort of getting some, getting, having people listening, and having people tapping in, having people hearing something and getting that good positive feedback where it's like,
Yeah,
okay, people fucking with this,
yeah,
and that
for
sort of can
sure.
give you that extra drive, that extra push, sort of like the home field
Yeah,
advantage type thing.
yo. And then you hear it back like years later, and you like, bro, this shit weak. But it's like it's an
Yeah.
era. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You in a
It's that
time.
moment.
You
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the
you in a
sound.
moment for
Yeah.
sure.
And so when you for you, music, have you experienced it more through a collaborative lens, or have you experienced it more through individual lens? Like a lot of people, I was talking to Blaine, and Blaine talked about how most of his music experience has been, through an individual experience, or through like an individual journey, where he hasn't done a lot of collaborations, he hasn't done music with a lot of people, he has sort of some didn't have the best experience with somebody else engineering his music, and so that sort of led him to engineering his own music, working on music by himself. Most of the projects he's put out, it's not other people featured on the project. And I was telling we were sort of talking about my experience was different than that, where most of the projects I put out, someone else has been the one that's engineering, someone else has been the one doing the recording. I've typically always had some features. I've always liked working with different artists and having features from different artists, having different voices on different songs. And we sort of was just sort of comparing and contrasting that experience. So for you, have you fit in? Does your journey look more like Blaine's journey, where it's individual, or was your journey more like mine, where it's more like a collective experience in creating?
I would say I did both. I ain't gonna hold you. You get a more earthy feel when you doing it yourself. But I feel like I had the experience of both. But I started off as individual because like my first song I heard from Rockford was Gabe Gibbs' song, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. And I was like, bro, that shit hard, bro.
Yeah.
Like I want to do this beat. You know what I'm saying? like
Yeah.
I ain't no rapper, but I want to
Right.
do this beat. And like
Yeah.
I'm on my ex girl now, but my girlfriend at the time, I was on her laptop. And I was in the basement, and motherfuckers came in on me. I had the blanket over me and shit. I'm on Audacity
Right.
with no mic, bro. And motherfucker like this shit ain't gonna work out. You need to find something else. But you can't do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like so, me trying individually led me to that group of
Okay.
people.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it just I don't know. I have different experiences. Like I could do a crowd in the studio, or I could do a dolo. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like it depends on the vibe. You know.
And then for you, are you like writing before you go to the studio? You putting music together, putting the song together pre-studio, or do you, get in the studio and then you just sort of like going in from there? You hearing the beat from you doing most of the writing from there. You doing most of the putting together of the song from in the studio. Because I was talking, me and Blaine was talking, and again, it was sort of like a comparing and contrasting thing, where he was saying, at this point, he was saying he doesn't really write music too much. Everything is sort of like in the moment, and so he doesn't do anything with the song pre the moment he gets into his home studio, and he sort of sits in the booth and he's in the studio, encompassed in sort of the studio vibe. And I was telling him, like, I write everything pre-studio. Before I go to the studio, I've got the lines, I got the beat, I got the song, I done rap through the song a few times. I might have wrote it on my phone, then transferred over to the notebook. And for me, the being in the studio is a really separate experience than the creating of the song experience. So what's it like for you? Do you do it beforehand in the studio, a little bit of both?
I do a little bit of both, man. Like there's certain times where like I could write the whole song out.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I done rehearsed it. I done did a voice record, so I know what tone and keys I hit.
right,
You know, like
yeah.
the sound I want. Cause sometimes like I have a melody in my head, and I be like, bro, this shit's so hard, bro. I gotta go to the studio tonight. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like everything must go for real. Like, but and then I get there and I be like, damn, what was that melody I had in my head, bro?
Right,
Like
yeah.
this ain't it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then I had experiences where I came to the studio with nothing, bro, just a beat. And it's just like I put it together. You know, I punch in. Even at the crib, like some of my greatest songs that I made, I feel like I punched in.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
hit by hit, bar by bar, and took it from there, you know?
Okay.